What's going on, Downtown Mafia? It's your boy Gambit the Invincible. Uh, Bringing you another blog once again. As promised, I'm going to give you guys as many blogs as possible to help you guys throughout the game. Try to get them done fast so that way we don't be worried about any snags or these types of situations in the future. Right now, I want to shout out Dez for giving everyone the opportunity to put their input on display for others to feed off of and build and get stronger as well. Once again, I encourage other players out there to put more blogs and videos out so we all can actually share ideas and get stronger and better in the game together. All right. This blog here today is basically about bosses and the boss gangs. Downtown Mafia consists of a number of bosses. Each boss has a special attribute, a special item, loot item that you receive, and it also takes a few weapons of that sort to actually fight a boss and beat a boss. Alright, so it's about 14 bosses, if I'm not mistaken. We're gonna go through each boss individually. Excuse me, I do have a setup of one of my Downtown Mafia accounts in front of me, and I'm doing that purposely just so I can be accurate with the information that I give you guys during these blogs. Alright. Pardon the adjustment of the camera as well because I'm actually doing all this on my own. There's nobody helping me or anything like that, and I don't want you guys to think that, oh, this guy's just throwing some crap together. No, I'm trying to do this as professional as possible because that's the best way to get communication through and be more effective. All right. The first boss, when you start your Downtown Mafia, the first boss that you encounter is a guy named Mad Dog. Actually, to be honest, he's helpful. Don't get me wrong. Mad Dog is very helpful because all bosses and all events in the Downtown Mafia world are utilized for you to get stronger. But out of all the bosses, Mad Dog is the weakest. You encounter him as soon as you start the game. You happen to be, I guess, walking in his turf or something, and things get out of hand between you and Mad Dog. Whatever the story scenario is, that's what it is. Once you defeat Mad Dog 21 times, or once you defeat any boss for that matter 21 times, the boss then works for you. The boss becomes a prominent mob member of yours, and they're also equipped with power-ups and different handles of weaponry. For instance, Mad Dog, once you beat him 21 times, you receive an additional 100 plus attack and an additional 100 plus defense, and he can handle 10 additional weapons, 10 additional armors, and of course 10 additional vehicles. Alright? The next boss that you will encounter is a boss called the Animal. The Animal basically is a step higher on the food chain than the last boss. The Animal's level actually goes 200 attack, 200 defense, and he can handle 20 weapons, 20 armors, and 20 vehicles. All right. As you can see, the pattern sort of doubles as you go along from boss to boss. After Mad Dog and the Animal, we have a third boss. The third boss is Bishop. The Bishop is a little tougher. It takes a little longer. Each and every boss takes longer to beat and is harder and tougher to defeat than the other boss. Once I'm done explaining each and every boss, I'll give you some hints and tips on how to handle boss fighting and when's a good time to fight bosses and when's a good time to avoid boss fighting. Alright, so once you fight the bishop and beat him 21 times, you receive 300 attack, 300 defense. 300 attack, 300 defense. And he can handle plus 30 weapons, plus 30 armors, and plus 30 vehicles. Alright. After the bishop, we have Lady Vice, who's the first female boss of the Downtown Mafia world. And once you defeat her 21 times and she's recruited to your team, you receive an additional 300 attack, an additional 400 defense, and she can handle 40 weapons, 40 armors, and 40 additional vehicles as well. Alright? After Lady Vice, I'm sorry, we have the boss known as Babyface. Babyface can handle, once Babyface is defeated 21 times, you receive an additional 400 attack and an additional 300 defense. And he can carry 50 plus weapons, 50 armors, and 50 vehicles. Alright? Next on the list, we have Motor Capo. A lot of people have different controversy about Motor Capo. But like I said earlier in the blog, it's still good for each and every boss, each and every attribute that's on the game to be considered as a reward or as a come up, a strength during your game playing activity. Once you beat Motor Capo 21 times, he comes with 450 attack and 450 defense, and he can carry 60 of each, 60 weapons, 60 armors, and 60 vehicles. Okay? After Motor Capo, we have Demetrius. Demetrius, once beat 21 times, comes with 475 attack, 475 defense, and he can handle 75 of each, 75 weapons, 75 armors, and 75 vehicles. Briefly, after Demetrius, each boss that I'm about to mention gets very, very hard to beat due to the time frame that you have and the strength of that boss for you to attack them during the time that you have for the encounter with that boss. All right, which leads us to the first of the more high strength bosses, which is Kronos the Slasher. Kronos once defeated 21 times, gives you 500 attack, 500 defense, and he comes with 100 weapons, 75 armors, and 75 vehicles. As you can see, depending on the strength and the time that's necessary to defeat the boss, the attributes that you receive and the rewards that you receive for each of them being on your gang actually gets more increasingly, more better. Next, after Kronos, we have Mr. Shades. Now, Mr. Shades comes with 600 attack, 600 defense, once defeated 21 times. He can also handle 121 weapons, 90 armors, and 90 vehicles. This is good once you get to the higher levels. You're at like level 150 or above. You want to be working on higher level bosses such as Kronos, Mr. Shades. All right, Downtown Mafia. Now, after Mr. Shades, we have Deuce Vega. I know you see the scenery looking a little different before I get into it. That's because I had some technical issues with my laptop, and I had to do a second part of the video. I didn't want to split them and make another video. I just merged them together to make it more simple, more easy. So anyway, we have Deuce Vega next. Deuce Vega, once he's defeated 21 times, he comes with 800 attack, 800 defense. He can handle 150 weapons, 110 ammos, and 100 armor. I'm sorry, 110 armors and 110 vehicles. All right. After Deuce Vega, we have Mr. White. Mr. White, once defeated 21 times, is equipped with 1,000 attack, 1,000 defense, and he can handle 200 weapons, 150 armors, and 150 vehicles. All right. Last but not least, the devs just brought in a new boss a few weeks ago by the name of Black Widow. Black Widow is extremely strong. Once defeated 21 times, she comes with 1,000 attack and 1,200 defense. She can handle 150 weapons. She can handle 200 armors and 150 vehicles. All right. I just want you guys to know that once you defeat each of these bosses 21 times, it doesn't overlap the next boss. All of the skill points, all of the power-up points that you receive are actually merged together. So they're an accumulation of all the boss's points into one. All right. And that's for the most part of anything that goes on in Downtown Mafia. Nothing overlaps anything else. Basically, if you buy 500 FN minis and then turn around and buy an additional 500 I don't know 500 quad guns, the quad guns are not going to override the weapon, the attack and defense points that you receive. They actually all accumulate together in the whole game. The way that the game is set up is you defeat other players by the calculation of the skill points, the attack and defense points, and all the weaponry and merc points and stuff that you have all together. So everything that you buy and you purchase, everything that you achieve, all comes with a certain amount of points. Those points are tallied up into a database, and that database calculates whether or not you have more points than the player that you're fighting, or the event that you're handling at the moment. That's just a little educational standpoint of how Downtown Mafia works. Next off on this blog, secondly, we have the new boss gangs that the devs created for us. Boss gangs are actually set up to allow gangs to do things like boss. This is the first tryout of a task as a whole gang. Before this, all gangs had were death matches and turf holding down. Now we have computerized matchups with other gangs, which I think is pretty cool because it actually strengthens your gang as a whole. This is the first try, like I said, to achieve structure in each of the gangs so the gangs can work in unison. All right. Anything that you loot as a gang, you do not get to keep if you leave the gang. Anything that you loot as a gang, you do not get to keep as a gang. All right? I mean, you do not get to keep if you leave the gang. Okay? However, if you do return, each gang has a section called the arsenal, and you go right into the arsenal and you load up on any looted items that you received during gang activity. All right. So the Barzini family consists of six members. Emilio Barzini runs it. He's the boss. And it goes all the way down to the lowest level, who is Paul Castellano. All right. The boss levels go up to 30. And every 10th level you reach, you receive the boss's the Barzini family loot vehicle. The loot vehicle is an old school. I'm sorry, my computer's freezing. It's an old school Buick Roadmaster. You get 80 attack and 70 defense on it for each looted Buick Roadmaster you receive. All right, they'll accumulate, and you have 3 levels of receiving it. Okay. Secondly, each time you defeat the gang, the Barzini family, because that's the only gang bosses we have at the moment. Every time you defeat the Barzini family, they get stronger. I know as higher ranking gangs, this is a piece of work, but the blogs are really to reach out to everyone. So in respects of lower level gangs, be aware that you guys are gonna have to work as a team to defeat the Barzinis, and you're gonna have to maintain structure in order to get everything that you want out of warring, whether it's the computerized wars or warring any other gang members, real life interaction. All right, so before I lag this out and carry it on longer than it has to be, I'm gonna end it. Be aware that there will be several other blogs coming out. I also wanted to say to all the farming that's going on right now, I don't understand how they've set up a whole tournament, but you still have time to farm gangs that's camping. It's okay. I'm not mad. I told you. All my family stand strong. So just beware. All you cheap gangs out there taking shots right now, looting up all this good money. Because I keep money, y'all know. I stay in the billions. Just like any other high-ranking fighter in downtown Mafia. But just know it's coming back. Don't be softening up when I come back for what's mine. All right? Shout out to Lords. You know my gang. You know my mob number 595-960-010. Shout out to the Lords. Shout out to the gatekeepers. Shout out to each and every other gang that's been there looking out for me and looking out for each other, and at the same time getting theirs off. I understand, like it has to be alliances. It has to be enemies. That's what this game is built on, and we'll get into more of that in separate blogs later. So thanks a lot. I'm out.